Welcome back. This is Billy with Coach Dooley's List. And once again, if you're enjoying these coaching videos, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page and follow along on all of our social media platforms. Today, I'm here at North Oconee once again with head cheerleading and gymnastics coach Hillary Sanders. Coach, thank you for taking the time to meet with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And I do appreciate it because I know you're in the middle of one season. You're about to hop into another, so things are busy. You do have a student teacher this semester, which he's about to get his education too.
Yep.
So just kind of start off, tell everybody about your coaching journey and how you ended up here at North.
This is my 18th year of coaching in any capacity. I started off when I taught middle school. I coached cheerleading at the middle school, football cheerleading at Malcolm Ridge Middle School, and then eventually started coaching JV competition cheerleading at North Oconee. I think 2010 was my first year doing that. I did JV competition for 2 or 3 years. Then I moved into varsity competition with Crystal Melton. I was her assistant coach, and then led into taking over the varsity sideline program in 2014, and I've been coaching that ever since. Also, that same year was when we started the gymnastics program at North Oconee in 2014. The AD at the time, cheerleading, gymnastics, same
thing,
but not. But it was like, hey, we want to start a gymnastics program. Right. Would you be interested in coaching it? And I didn't know anything I didn't do gymnastics, but I was always a fan, 96 Olympics, Shannon Miller, like you wanted to be. And I don't have that in me, but I was a fan. So I respected the sport and was willing to take it on and start the program. So that was really fun. And I've been doing both ever since because cheerleading is in the fall, gymnastics is in the spring. And actually that's pretty common around the state. A lot of the gymnastics coaches also coach cheerleading. So it's a lot of our same mix of people.
How many gymnasts do you have that are also cheer?
It's a good bit of overlap. A lot of cheerleaders are former gymnasts. A lot of them start the sport, and then if they don't stick with it, cheerleading is an easy transition into it because they've got the skills, the tumbling skills. So I have a good bit of overlap, and then I have some that are just gymnasts. So it is an easy transition.
Well, I know it's kind of a year-round thing too for some of them.
Oh, yeah.
So in kind of growing with the program, being here, in the county and stuff, going from cheerleading, coming to gymnastics, and working with different coaches, everybody has build kind of their ideas of what they want their program to be known for. So could cheer, gymnastics, kind of both the same, but not. But what is it you want your programs to be known for?
Kind of encompassing. The cheerleading encompassing like the Titan spirit and being with football cheer. I kind of pride myself in I'm a football girl and I love football and I want my girls to understand the sport of football and the calls and it's something as silly as I want to be doing the first down cheer before the announcer says it's a first down. Like I want my girls to know like we just got a first down, we're doing that cheer and knowing and them being fans of the sport itself also, and not just being, rah-rahs, even though that is a big part of it is having that spirit and showmanship, but, having an appreciation for the sport that we are cheering for. Because, historically sideline cheer isn't, it's not competitive in itself. And I say historically because that has changed with game day cheer. And now we are kind of our own competition entity as well. But understanding the sport of football helps us better appreciate and be enthusiastic about what we're doing rather than just doing it for the sake of doing it. And so we use that kind of excitement of the football game in our game day. Like we just scored a touchdown, like we're going to the next round of the playoffs, like embody that enthusiasm and spirit that we have for our school and our sport, and then bottle it up and bring it to game day when we're performing at state and competing at state. As far as gymnastics, kind of the same thing. Like gymnasts are competitive in themselves and they're competitive within themselves. And I want high school gymnastics to be an outlet for them to have fun with their sport and be an outlet for we have retired gymnasts who they're not competing with a club necessarily anymore, but they still have the skills and still have a love for the sport,
Right.
and have that be a, an avenue that they can get involved with school. And even some of our girls that are super competitive in club and go on to do Division I gymnastics, having an avenue for them to get involved in school, because they do spend so much time at the gym. Have them get them the ability to have that high school atmosphere of a sport and a team sport, and they get to letter in a sport and get the rings and all the fun stuff that goes along with that.
No, and I love that too, because everybody who pays any attention to gymnastics knows. I mean, those girls, it's a 7-day a week thing for a lot of them, and it's for years, and for a lot of them, it starts at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. So, being able to have that outlet, I think, is phenomenal. So, in all your years of coaching, could be back to middle school. I know you coached with some of your best friends who are great people. So this could be on the mat, on the sidelines, on the bus, anything. What's one of your favorite coaching stories from over the years?
Oh my goodness.
I know it was probably driving the slow pitch softball team to a game and your first ever bus ride, but
it really is. There's so many of them, and because it's been 18 years of coaching, you can go back to 2014 when I had my first child in June of 2014, and a month later we are down in Columbus for choreography. And luckily Columbus is my hometown, so I was able to kind of take him with me, and my mom was available. But I mean, we didn't skip a beat, and he was like a little hot potato being passed around all the cheerleaders. And he's in all these videos and pictures of us at choreography camp, and there's little Cooper. But just little things like that you realize that you're completely intertwined in that. And my children learning to spell because of cheers. Like Cooper could spell defense in saying it in the cadence of the cheer, but he learned how to spell that word pretty quickly. But I don't know that I necessarily have like one story. We have some traditions and fun things that we do. When Crystal and I coached competition cheer together in 13, 14, we'd go down to Columbus and do the whitewater rafting. That was so fun. And can I say names, I guess, but Bailey Osborne, she won't mind if I say it, but we were whitewater rafting.
She's graduated.
She's one that gets...
She's one that quit playing softball to focus on cheerleading, so I remember her.
There we go. But she got thrown overboard on the whitewater rafting of all people. Of course, it was Bailey, and she and I were in the front of the boat because we were both gung-ho about it, and then there she goes, and you're just trying to get her, and that's just like a core memory. Obviously, she was fine. But just fun core memories like that become traditions. And with gymnastics, it started probably 4 or 5 years ago when we won state in 2021. It was a late night, and we were so excited, and we were starving. So we tried to go to the Chick-fil-a at near Mall of Georgia, and it was closed. And we were starving, and then realized my assistant coach owns the Chick-fil-a in Winder, and she was like, hey, why don't we just go to our Chick-fil-a? And they were still open but starting to shut down. And we called Chris, and we're like, we're coming. He's like, we're ready for you. And they were cheering for us as we pulled in. We filled up the trophy with sweet tea. We're drinking tea out of the trophy, and now that became like a tradition. So now it's awesome. We're going to Chick-fil-a afterwards, and
always the one in Winder.
Always the one in Winder.
It's a good place. Yes,
it's a good one. But they, have some food ready for us. The girls get to make their own ice cream, and it just little things like that become part of the program. And it's like, well, we got to go to Chick-fil-A. Absolutely, that's what we do. So yeah, I guess I don't necessarily just have one particular story, but there's too many.
No, that is totally fine. So, now too, again, we got started about the same time here at the high school, but you have former cheerleaders, former gymnasts that have probably gone into education. And, somebody at some point in time, they may have already done this. If they ever come to you and say, Coach Sanders, I want to be a head coach one day, what piece of advice would you give them?
I've already had some that are in other states and other school systems that have already reached out, and I just, encourage them. I'm like, I'm here. If you ever just have a random question, you can always call me, text me. But a lot of them try to just emulate the way that I coached, and
Mhm.
for better or for worse, I mean, it works. But they'll call me and ask me for advice, or what do you do in this situation? Or even they'll just call and be like, I am so sorry, because like, now that I'm dealing with it, they're like, oh boy.
The
um,
realization from some that get into it is pretty awesome
it is
sometimes to
fun.
go, yeah, I told you.
Yeah. Well, and then you've got some that are like, my plan is to come back to North Oconee and teach and coach. And I'm like, all right, just tell me when you're ready,
Yep.
And when been doing it for so long, having people that want to come back and continue the legacy that you have built or continued, that's, I guess, like the ultimate, like, compliment,
Oh,
is that they
absolutely.
want to come back. And you know giving the program over to an alumni, obviously, is like the dream situation. um,
Yeah.
so that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I've got to coach with a couple of my former players, and that's always great. And too, because whenever you do decide to retire,
Mm-hmm.
you want it to keep going in the same direction.
Right.
Nobody leaves and it's like, oh, I don't care what happens. Like, and who better to keep it going than those that have been there, have been a part of it, and understand like what it's all about. So,
Right.
this I don't send you these. This is just this is rapid fire. This is the
Okay.
fun stuff. Okay, and there's nothing super hard. But first question: somebody comes to town, they're coming for football, cheer, gymnastics, whatever, and they're like, hey, afterwards I'm going to go to eat. What's the best place in town to eat? Not taking the team, just them. Where do you send them?
uh I mean, my personal favorite restaurant is always Last Resort. That's where I tell them you got to go
That's
and
my
get the white
wife's
chocolate
too.
cheesecake.
It's
Gotta have
it's
it.
phenomenal.
And so that's usually the top of the list. There's so many new ones that, like, I haven't even gotten around to trying. But that new one, Osiro Olio, the fried artichokes, pretty good too.
I'm gonna have to try that. We
Mm-hmm.
love Last Resort too.
Mm-hmm.
Pork bellies are amazing.
Yep.
If I know it's a little different with cheer, but if you had like a pregame hype song, like you're trying to get ready, get the girls ready, do you have anything that either that? And I'm going to ask you too. You can kind of combine them. What is your pregame routine with your team?
Well, for cheerleading, like our home games, we have tailgate on the soccer field. We start that about 5 o'clock, and we will do either a theme where the parents kind of do like potluck, or it's like, if it's cold, we'll do chili and potatoes or something. But it's always fun, like tailgate food. And then we have the Titan Walk, where the band comes out and plays, and the football team comes in. So that one, they have a kind of a timeline of like, you need to be here by this time, be ready by this time. We're walking to the stadium at this time. Um,
I wasn't even thinking about that for y'all. I was thinking like, hey, what are you doing to get rid of? And yours literally is 2 hours before. Like, so yeah,
it is.
y'all need to like shout out like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a long day. Like as long as that
Long
bill.
bill. Yeah.
No,
So
that
yeah, we have long days. And then, they'll, for away games, they've always got the speaker. They have different music going. It always kind of surprises me. They bring some like throwback songs. I'm like, oh, that is from when I was in high school. You're jamming out. So I don't know if there's necessarily one particular song. Um, for gymnastics, they always have the speaker going. And each of them have their own pre-meet like routine of what they do. They eat the exact same thing. They fix their hair the exact same
oh
way.
yeah.
They've got whatever. So I don't try to mess with that. Um, but usually post meet, they're jamming out to music, and it's party time after that.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Who has been your biggest mentor in coaching?
My I've had a couple. One of the ones that I go to the most was my senior year cheer coach. Her name's Amanda Shaw. I actually introduced her to her now husband. He was a friend of mine in college. But she's one that I can call at any given moment or time, and she gives me the best advice. Otherwise, Crystal, and she's been there along the way. And she and I lean on each other a lot for different coaching situations or whatever, and I bounce ideas off of her. So even though we're, basically the same age, I mean, she would be somebody, she's a good go-to person.
Now, who, and we'll focus gymnastics here, and I know y'all had how many state championships in a row?
That's 6.
6 in a row. Okay, yeah, people don't realize how tough that is.
Yeah.
But who is the best gymnast you've ever coached against? So somebody that has been on the other side, and I know you've always had lots of them. It's good ones, but who's one that just stands out that you've coached against?
Hannah Aoki at Oconee. I think I said her last name correctly. She's at UNC now.
Okay.
But it's hard to say that I've coached against her, but just because she was at another school, but she trains with a lot of my girls.
Right.
But she is just, I mean, she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And just so easygoing too. And, she's somebody that, like, even though she's against us and in our same division, I mean, I'm just as excited when she hits a routine as when one of our girls hits a routine.
Right.
So she was, she's pretty phenomenal. So I'm excited that she's a freshman at UNC this year. So we're big UNC fans this year, rooting for her. There have been so many other ones in different divisions that have gone on to Division I that I become fans of. I'm going to get their names wrong probably, but there was one that was at West Forsyth that ended up going to Mizzou and competing for Mizzou, and she was always entertaining to watch. And she would have competed against Savannah Shanehair, one of our girls, around the same time at state. They were around the same time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Last one. Who's the next? This could be any sport, anybody. Who's a coach you think it would be entertaining for me to go and interview?
Oh.
Is Coach Shaw still coaching?
She's not. She's in administration in Cobb County now.
Okay.
Let's see. The gymnastics coach at Buford.
Okay.
Tyler Ann Smith.
Okay.
She can give you some good stories.
Good. I'll have to reach out to her. So
yeah.
Last thing right here, and the reason I do these interviews is kind of bring awareness to the website. Just trying to, for Coach Dooley's list is a place where coaches can go find vendors that are already coach approved. The only way I put anybody on the site is if a coach has referred them. So Who's one vendor that you've worked with that you would love to shout out that you would recommend to other coaches?
Well, I got one locally.
Perfect.
Susie Williams
is
one of my cheer moms and gymnastics moms that does fantastic t-shirt prints and sweatshirts, and we're using her for our team apparel this season. And I think she did wrestling's team apparel this past season also. And it's just her doing all her things, but I mean, the designs that she comes up with and the quality that she creates is fantastic.
So is it just how would people, and I'm going to get her added to the website, is it just Susie Williams? Does she have a business?
She does it through Facebook.
Okay.
But she kind of set up like a Google form of how people can order, what color shirt, what print they want. Perfect. And she's got a good system going.
Well, good.
And she makes all sorts of Georgia stuff, koozies, all sorts of things. Screen printing.
I will get her info from you and get it added. But Coach, thank you. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck this season.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right.